we do have plenty of stuff to go over today, but let's talk about maybe the biggest story in sports right now, and that's Bill Belichick not being inducted, reportedly not being inducted into the Hall of Fame after what is clearly a Hall of Fame career, right? A 6-time Super Bowl winner with the Patriots, 3-time Coach of the Year. Obviously, I mean, some would argue, and I would even say most would argue, he is the greatest head football coach of all time. He's not getting in. And part of the reason that I saw was because Spygate, Deflategate, that being the deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, if that's the precedent you're going to set,
Yep.
that means Tom Brady ain't getting in on his first try either.
Right.
Is that really what the Pro Football Hall of Fame is going to do? They're going to hold out. So, Bill Belichick, by all things considered, by the way, because Robert Kraft is getting in, but Bill Belichick took as much of the blame as anybody. Same thing with Tom Brady. Took as much of the blame as anybody with these scandals, okay? Does that mean to say that the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because they are not choosing to elect Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame this year, and they're going to make him wait, are they going to set the same precedent with Tom Brady? Are they going to make the greatest quarterback to ever touch planet Earth, by most people's eyes, are they going to make him wait? And are you sure they want to do that? What do you think, Josh?
Well, let's add a couple more to that. Does that mean they're going to have Gronk wait, who is one of the best tight ends of all time when he becomes eligible? Are they going to make Adam Vinatieri wait when he is considered like the greatest kicker of all time?
And he's eligible this year, by the way.
Right. So are they just going to punish any Patriot that was on these teams based off that? And furthermore, what does this do for other coaches when they become available? Like, do you happen to know offhand what other coaches are listed or were going to be listed soon?
I don't.
Because one thing I did learn, and honestly, I didn't realize this until this news came out, was NFL coaches only have to be out of the league for 1 year before they're eligible. So
I actually didn't know that.
Right. So because Belichick's only been out of the NFL after one full year, then that following year they can start being eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So does that mean, I'm just throwing another name out there, he's nowhere near in comparison to the accolades as Bill Belichick, but let's bring up Mike Tomlin because of all his wins and his longevity with the Steelers.
Okay, right. I like that.
He's got 2 years left, well, technically on the Steelers' contract, but he's out of the league. But based with that resume, I would think he would be a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, that's the interesting part, right? Is that coaches are they're not the same as players.
Right.
Right? Players have to officially retire.
Yeah.
And then if they want to go back, they have to come out of retirement.
Right.
Right? That's not
which was why Phillip Rivers was going to be eligible, but then removed it.
But then removed himself. Right. So, but coaches don't have to follow that.
Correct.
So that's true. Could obviously not this year, but next year's cycle, is Mike Tomlin going to be considered? That's
so
fun.
Right, because if you are to consider him, and let's just obviously now this would be 1 to 2 years down the road, but let's just say Mike Tomlin somehow got into the Hall of Fame before Bill Belichick. Right. And that's not to disrespect Mike Tomlin for what he did in his longevity in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
but you're trying to tell me that the second most wins ever, most Super Bowls ever, and helped develop, we just named 4 different Hall of Famers in different positions.
Yeah, right.
You're telling me that he can't make the Hall of Fame?
There's nobody in football that has ever been better at turning former quarterbacks and former lacrosse players into great NFL players. Like that's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Okay. But I really kind of want to dial in here on there's absolutely no way the Pro Football Hall of Fame is going to make Tom Brady wait. There's no shot in hell that that's going to happen. No way.
None.
The world would explode. Now, I think part of the reason, and now here comes me diving into conspiracies, okay? I think a lot of people think that Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame is ridiculous. But I wouldn't call what's happening right now outrage, right?
Okay.
There would be outrage if it was Tom Brady. I'll use this word that a lot of the young kids now use. The aura right now around Bill Belichick is right now his coaching stint at North Carolina looks kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
All the parading around with the media, with what's his girlfriend's name? Jordan, right? Like his girlfriend, his 23 or 24-year-old girlfriend, whatever it is now like parading around as his manager, and it all looks very weird, right?
Sure.
Is that kind of leaking into this? Because I sort of think it is.
Well, I mean, you know, anyone, whether it's fans, writers, media, etc., players are always on a much higher pedestal than the coaches.
Of course.
So yeah,
of course.
right. So when I'm under the assumption and hopeful assumption that there will be no disputes or questions with Brady getting in when he is first ballot. Now, there probably will be one or two whiners that the Patriots beat that vote against him. It probably will not be unanimous. With that alone is ridiculous.
Of course.
But it's just this mindset of, honestly, it's just petty jealousy.
Yeah.
Like if we were to go into the NBA, like if we transition this, if we looked at Phil Jackson, greatest NBA coach arguably of all time, most championships. Okay, he coached Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, and then went and coached Shaq and Kobe. I have a feeling, as good as those players were, they were better thanks to Phil Jackson and his coaching.
I think any rational human being would think that way.
Right.
Okay.
And now
Tom Brady was great on his own. Let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
Okay. But do you honestly believe that if Bill Belichick was not around, if Bill Belichick was coached by Freddie Kitchens, it would have turned out all the same? No.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not the way a person should think.
Right. I mean, if like with Phil Jackson, I just use this comparison because he's the best coach in that sport, in my opinion, of all time. And Bill Belichick, in my opinion, is the greatest coach in the sport of football. Mm-hmm. And so if you had social media back, like in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s,
right,
with all the gambling things that Jordan was doing, all the partying that Rodman was doing, all the arguments and stuff that was happening with Shaq and Kobe, would that have then hindered Phil Jackson from getting in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely not.
Right.
So why does this happen to Bill Belichick? Is it because you're jealous that he was so much better than you with the dynasty, Mr. Polian, that he was able to win all these championships? Is it because you're jealous that he has the hot 20-something-year-old girlfriend now? I don't know what it is.
Well, but
it's ridiculous.
Right. And that's the part of this that makes it ridiculous, is that if they're justifying it by saying that, listen, we can't let him in right now because of Deflategate and everything like that's the reason we're not letting him in. Okay, so then he's Barry Bonds, right?
Right.
He's got 762 home runs. He's got more home runs than anybody else. The guy's had maybe the greatest offensive career of all time, but because he cheated, we're never letting him in. Okay, if that's the precedent you're going to set, fine. But then
Tom Brady's not in.
Then Tom Brady's not in, right? And everybody and their mother knows that that's not happening. Everybody on planet Earth knows that Tom Brady is getting in on the first try. Let's not be ridiculous about this. So what's going to happen? When Tom Brady gets elected into the Hall of Fame and Bill Belichick still isn't in, how is the NFL going to justify it? Are they going to say that, well, we kind of knew that Bill Belichick was really the cog in the machine and, like that was, he was behind the whole operation. Are they going to try and find a way to justify it? Or are they completely oblivious to what their own actions are?
And on top of that, the specific voters that voted against Belichick, newsflash, you cannot now vote him in next year because then you are proving that you just did this out of spite to try to punish him for 1 year. Because now all of a sudden a year later, oh, you know what? No, I think he is good enough to be in a Hall of Fame after all. Yeah. No, that's not the case. If you voted no, you have to stay no, which then questions your beliefs and your morals and what you feel is right.
If that's your justification.
Yeah.
Right? If that's your justification. Because I understand, like, the way that they do it in baseball, right, is if you have to get 75% of the writers' vote in order to get into the Hall of Fame. Okay. And there are times where, like, listen, a guy's been on the ballot for 8 years, but his percentage of voters just keeps climbing every single year, right? Like, he'll eventually get in because it's just, like he'll just reach enough numbers of voters, right? If a writer doesn't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and he thinks he's a seventh ballot Hall of Famer, then he'll vote for him in his 7th year, right? That to me makes sense. If this is your justification for not letting him in, for Deflategate, for anything like that, like exactly what you just said, your morality somehow changed in a year, that's ridiculous. Like, if you're not going to let him in, you're not going to let him in. But we all know you're going to eventually. Like, just stop this crap. Like, it really is crazy.
And I would not be surprised if when he does get in, that he doesn't even bother showing up and doesn't even do his acceptance speech.
Yeah. My father threw out an interesting theory of saying, is Robert Kraft behind it? Is Robert Kraft the one that's saying, and I don't know, I'm not going to say that I believe that this is the case, but he threw out an interesting theory of saying, is Robert Kraft the one behind it? Because Robert Kraft doesn't want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year as Bill Belichick.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Now, again, I'm not telling you that that's a likely scenario or anything of that nature.
Well, now let me ask you, can Brady be inducted next year or is it in 2 years?
I don't know the answer to that question. I should know the answer to that question, and I don't.
Because actually, like, also then while you're looking that up, also look up for Gronk.
2028. So
is when he can.
Right. So Brady retired in 2023, so he will be eligible in 2028. The 2026 finalists are going to be announced before the Super Bowl. So it's going to be 2 full years before Brady's eligible.
Okay. So and Vinatieri is eligible.
Is eligible now.
Gronk is not. I think Gronk might be then the same time as Brady in 2028 then.
I think I think Gronk and Brady retired at the same time.
So you can there's going to be a few years here where it's going to be Patriot heavy for the Hall of Fame based on the dynasty that they had. Mm-hmm. So it is far-fetched on what your dad said, but at the same time, there is some legitimacy to it where, hey, if Robert Kraft is the first one from the dynasty inducted by himself, and then you have Belichick, then you have Vinatieri, then you have Brady, then you have Gronk, then it's showing, hey, I'm the one who orchestrated all of this.
Is Julian Edelman going to get in before Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? because I think Julian
Is
Edelman.
Julian Edelman to you? I mean, I would have to look up his numbers because off the top of my head, Julian Edelman to me does not say Hall of Famer.
So Julian Edelman is eligible this year. Julian Edelman's eligible.
Okay. Is Julian Edelman more deserving of being in the Hall of Fame than guys like Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely
And neither of them are in the Hall of Fame yet. Honestly, as great as Julian Edelman's career was, and because he was in the midst of all that, I don't think though his stats are going to have him make the Hall of Fame. But that said, apparently Bill Belichick's doesn't either. Apparently, so yeah. What do I know? Apparently, you have to invent football in order to get into Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I was looking at this earlier. Torrey Holt's numbers are ridiculous, and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
That is beyond.
Yeah, I mean, Terrell Owens had to wait however many years. He didn't get in his first ballot, where he absolutely should have.
Background clearly matters to the writers.
Yeah.
It clearly matters.
Which means that they shouldn't get votes then. Because all that matters is what's happening on the field.
Well, listen, baseball guys have been saying the same thing about Curt Schilling for years, right? Because I don't think anybody can even doubt that forget about his political beliefs, right? But more about just like how he treated the media during his playing career. Has it become so much of it matter? Like you have to suck up to the media in order for them to get to vote for you.
Right.
Like Curt Schilling's a Hall of Fame pitcher, 100%. Right. And I don't want to stray too far away from the Belichick conversation, but Curt Schilling's a Hall of Fame pitcher. But because people don't like him, he's not going to get in. I think that's crazy. So I don't know. Craziness.
You need people somehow, and I know it's just wishful thinking. You need people that are unbiased making these decisions.
I know. But listen, that's so hard to come by nowadays.
Right. Well, which why I said it's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, within the next 5 to 6 years, your fans are going to be able to vote in the Hall of Fame by texting something, which will mean Shedeur Sanders will be a Hall of Famer in 2030.
Ronnie James is going to be a Hall of Famer before. Oh my gosh, I can't even wait for that. I mean, having a Hall of Fame vote means something.
Yeah.
If they just let anybody do it, I don't know. That would almost break my heart.
Mm-hmm.
As a sports media member myself, that would break my heart.
I mean, well, if you had magical powers to decide, hey, this is how we determine who makes the Hall of Fame each year, how would you determine it?
It's so hard for me to say because I really don't know what the right answer is. I really don't like.
I'm not asking for the right answer. I'm just asking for your answer.
Well, look, I think the system that's in place now is not necessarily broken just because we have people that we disagree with. But I don't know. I do think that there probably are areas of improvement. I honestly have not given it much thought of changes that I would make. It's just because I don't know what the answer would be to make it more fair, right? I just don't know what it would be. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have come up with the idea of like baseball, or not even just but sports writers that vote for the Hall of Fame have term limits like politicians, right? You can have your vote for this many years and then your term is up, right? Mm-hmm. I know that people have discussed that, and I don't know if that's good or if it isn't good, because I also think that having valued historians who have seen the game for a long time, I think having that vote means something. I think that actually is a part of it. You know what I mean? You can't just have a bunch of these 25 to 30 something year old people who have never seen, Len Dawson play,
Right.
make all the decisions on who gets into the Hall. I just don't know that that's right. So I can't tell you what, like, if I had a genie in a bottle, what I would do to change the whole thing. I don't know if I would.
Mm.
I don't know. Do you have like a solution or an idea or anything about that?
Oh, you just put them on like an episode of the Weakest Link game show, and just whoever wins gets in. I think that would be the fairest way to do it at this point.
Put him on 1 versus 100, and then
Yeah,
right. Survey says, you are a cheater.